Bones had a great question before. We've been learning all about the environment. We've been learning about how energy moves through the environment, what types of organisms are in the environment, how we are all interdependent on each other in the environment and all of our ecosystems. But he wanted to know, how have human beings influenced our ecosystems, influenced our environment? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Has it been on purpose? Has it been accidental? So that's what we're going to talk about today. How has some of the human influence, or what has been some of the human influence on our ecosystem looked like? And it's not a good look for human beings, unfortunately. Human activities have either deliberately or accidentally changed the equilibrium in our ecosystems, which means it's throwing our environment and our ecosystems off. Okay. Our ecosystems are a delicate balance of all the different factors that we've been talking about going into it to stay stable. Okay. When one side of the scale tips the other side, sometimes eventually you fall over. And that's kind of what's been happening lately, because there are so many human beings here on Earth. We're using so many resources here on the Earth so quickly that the resources aren't able to replenish themselves or refill themselves for us to maintain a stable environment or to maintain that equilibrium. So let's take a look at some of the ways that human beings have influenced our ecosystem. The first one is known as deforestation. You probably have heard of deforestation before. It means exactly what it says. We're starting to get rid of the forests. We're excessively cutting down forests without some countries without necessarily replanting them. Here in the United States, we have laws about deforestation. We cannot cut down a forest for financial gain without replacing the trees and regrowing the forest in certain sections. All right. Now, what does deforestation do to the environment? Number one, we can produce less oxygen. Okay, the plants are what produce oxygen for us to live here on Earth. And with less plants taking the carbon dioxide from pollution and changing it back into oxygen, we get this beginning of climate change, the warming and global warming, the warming of the Earth. So deforestation really blends itself to climate change and global warming. Not only that, and it's producing less oxygen for us, it increases competition between organisms now. So organisms are going to fight in order to survive more. Organisms are going to start to go extinct more because they have nowhere to live. They have no more food sources, and different situations arise like that. So deforestation is one way that human beings have negatively affected our Earth and the ecosystems that we're living in. And unfortunately, it takes a long time and a lot of care for those forests to come back. But if we continue at the rate of cutting down these forests that we're at, we're not giving them the time for the Earth to replenish itself. So deforestation, not necessarily a good thing of how we influence our ecosystems here on Earth. Deforestation, I mentioned, leads to global warming. Okay, that is an increase in temperature around the world. Now, what happens with global warming? We get severe weather. So now we get severe storms when they come. We get severe amounts of drought when drought seasons come. It changes the migration of animals. Okay, animals with diseases that necessarily have not been in New York, where we are now starting to come into New York because they can move up farther from the equator. Global warming is causing severe drought, making it harder to farm. It's causing the rise of the oceans because the melting North and South Pole ice caps are falling into the ocean. It's changing the salinity of the oceans, which changes ocean currents, which changes weather patterns. So global warming is a real thing, and it's something that is being caused by natural causes, but also by us polluting the air, by us burning fossil fuels. All of these things are releasing harmful carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and without the plant life, in order to change it back into oxygen, we get a rising in temperature. In the past 20 years on record, we have had the 20 of the hottest years known to man here on the planet, and there doesn't seem to be any relief in sight at the moment. We're working on it. We're changing over to green technologies, but we need to change over more quickly because, again, we're using our resources much, much too quickly. Animals are dying, temperatures are going up, forest fires are happening, and even winter storms are a large, destructive winter storms are a result of global warming. Remember, global, we're talking about what's happening around the world. Urban growth is also leading to this, okay? Um, we have our cities, we have our mini malls, we have uh, our strip malls, we have our Taco Bells and our McDonald's. All of this industry causes a loss of habitat where animals and organisms who would naturally live in and would naturally use the resources of that area just disappear. Okay, so we have a picture here of Central Park with New York City around it. New York City never used to be there. So picture all of the organisms that used to live in the city part. They're gone. If they didn't adapt to the new environment, if they didn't migrate or move somewhere else, then they died. Some may have even gone extinct. Now, with this urban growth, it also leads to an increase in pollution. Okay? Pollution is when we are releasing hazardous materials into the environment, okay, which destroys the environment. Okay, the release of hazardous materials into the environment causes oil spills. You can see the smokestacks releasing harmful gases into the atmosphere. The oil spills destroying aquatic life. It's hard to clean oil out of water. It destroys a lot of the environments, causing prices of food and fish and shrimp to go up. So human influence hasn't been the best thing for the earth, just because we're just abusing the environment too much. There is so many people here on earth. There's not enough resources here on earth for all the people here, and the technologies that we've been using, okay, are not green technologies. They're technologies that are outdated now. We now have the technology to be able to do the same things and access the same resources here on earth without harming the environment, and we need to make that transition so we stop negatively influencing the earth. Because once the earth's gone, so are we. So let's try to keep it going as long as we can.